I'm here at Oberlin College. Oberlin College holds the oldest continuously operating conservatory in the country. It is also one of the first schools that started with co-ed education back in the 1800s. Right now it's known as one of the most liberal colleges in the country, so I'm feeling right at home here. I just talked to Mayson. He's a second year student. He's a violin student. He wants to become uh, an orchestra member of one of the symphony orchestras here or abroad. And I was just curious to see what someone of his age, he's younger than my son, uh, uh, drives to become a professional violinist. Um, tell me first, can you remember the first time you were um, you heard violin music?
Yes. I first heard the violin. I was in middle school when I remember hearing it was the violin. I started taking trumpet lessons and I was walking by the orchestra room and I heard the strings were rehearsing and I heard the fifth graders starting to learn, and that's the first time I remembered that's a violin. And because I had my trumpet in my hand, and then I was thinking, okay, that's a violin and that's what that sounds like.
And then,
And then I switched.
I mean, instantly.
Well, I broke my wrist playing football, and so then I couldn't learn the trumpet anymore. I couldn't hold it up, and so an alternative was the violin, because at the beginning stages, there's not much. You're learning to hold it really, and so that's when I switched. A few weeks after I had a cast on, and I switched to violin.
Was it with Angela already, or
I'm sorry.
was that with Angela already?
No, she was 2 years after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you switch? What was it that made you go like, ooh?
Well, I think it was more beautiful sound when you hear the orchestra room and the band room. They're very different sounds. And I honestly wasn't too good at trumpet when I first started learning. And so I thought, well, violin's prettier, it sounds better, and maybe it's easier for me to play. And so then that's why I switched.
How long did it take you to learn how to play? I mean, you're still learning, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I took private lessons for 2 years before I started in the city with Angela. And so after those 2 years, I kind of my progress I think happened faster. And I'm still learning.
When did you learn? When did you decide, or when did you know, or need, when? At what time did you know that you were going to make it into a career?
Well, my freshman year of high school, I started my lessons, and then my sophomore year, I started Kansas City Youth Symphony Orchestra. And the first piece we played was Tchaikovsky Symphony Number 6, and that was.
Stupid. That was stupid.
Should I start?
Yes, do it again.
Yeah.
So,
My sophomore year.
at what point did you know you were going to be a professional violinist?
My sophomore year of high school, it was my first year of doing Kansas City Youth Symphony Orchestra, and the first piece we played was Tchaikovsky Symphony Number 6, and that I remember sitting in the second violin section, just the first rehearsal, playing that, and I was like, this is what I want to do. It combined the challenge of being a violinist, but also the musicality and the artistry that music envelops, and so the feeling I had in that first rehearsal was something that I still enjoy now, and that's why I still want to do it.
What do you think is the most difficult part of the violin?
I think it's the constant struggle of technique, musicality, all of these things. We always are focusing on so many aspects. Whenever you're thinking about left-hand technique, right hand, then you have to think about musicality and how you take that from the practice room to the stage and how you convey that in a way that the audience can receive. It's really a challenge, and it's frustrating a lot of the time. Most of the time it's frustrating, but still I'm trying.
What's your ambition?
I want to play in a symphony orchestra. The Cleveland Orchestra, which is just down the street from me, is a good inspiration. Every time I go there, I see that's what I want to do. And playing in orchestra is what I love, so that's what I hope to be my career.
And what did your parents say when you decided to become an artist?
My family, they don't come from artistic people, and so they kind of are great in that they saw that I loved it and I was good at it, and so they have never, they kind of let me do what I want to do, and they support me, and they know that if I love it and I work hard, I'll be successful in some way, and so that's kind of what they think.
So how I mean, do you think you have a talent? Is that what it is? A knack for this, or how does it work?
Yeah, I think certain people. I mean, I don't want to speak for myself, but I think there's something's got me this far. I think, and I don't. I think that I work super hard, and I think that is probably more important sometimes than talent. There are many talented people, but I think it's more than just being good at the instrument technically. Um, so I think, yeah, and I really do deeply love it. And I think hopefully that is conveyed when I play, and so I think that's part of the reason why I think I can do it, and I hope that I can make it my career.
What does it take for you? Rephrase that. So to be good, right? What do you need to do really hard? If you, I mean, like
Yeah,
in sports, you have to work on your conditioning, really,
yeah,
because that's the basic. What would be the
yeah.
conditioning equivalent of violin
Mhm.
playing?
Well, big thing of violin is practice, and that's what you hear everyone who's a violinist talk about is how many hours am I getting in, and there's always the technical side of things, and so that's why we spend at least 4 to 5 hours working on that aspect. But also, I think it's being having good teachers, good coaches that inspire you and shape the musical side, because technique and musicality go hand in hand, and so I think that's the real challenge is finding those two aspects of violin playing, putting them together in a way that makes sense.
Um, do you think everybody can? I mean, do you think everybody can learn to play the violin, or
Yeah, I think it is very possible. And whenever I talk to older people or people who maybe took piano or something, and they, always say, I used to do that and I love doing that. And I tell them, do it now. Like, it's an instrument you can play for a long time. It's an instrument that I think connects with people. I think I have friends here in the conservatory who they really into folk music. And I think that's a genre of violin playing that is really accessible to people. And a lot of people connect with that for some reason, I found. And so I think anyone can play the violin because it is, it just takes two hands and then you just, you try your best. And it is hard at first. You don't get a beautiful sound at first, but I think it's rewarding whenever you look back and see where you started, me playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to where I am now, playing these symphonies and concertos and how much more I have to go.
all right, this might sound like a stupid question, but when I tune my violin, right, you have the tuner app,
Hmm.
and it gives you a certain frequency.
Hmm.
So if you want to play it perfectly, it has to be like on that one
Hmm.
single number. Do you guys learn to play on one number, or is it like what is there a margin?
Yeah, well, for us, once your instrument's in tune, so if you tune to A440, once that's in tune, intonation is kind of, you do have to have an ear for it. It's not, I mean, if I played notes with a tuner, it wouldn't always be perfectly on the dot, but the general ear can tell if something relative to each other is in tune.
That's it.
So if someone plays Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, there's a certain area of pitches that is recognizable. And then, of course, if you play it not in those areas of pitches, it won't sound like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Okay.
So I think the hard part for us is we don't have frets, we don't have keys to press down, we have a fingerboard. And so that's a lot of the practice time is nailing down our fingers and the technique to be able to play in tune, so that way the audience knows what we're playing and can see, because if something's out of tune, it's distracting. If you think of like a record player that isn't working right, it's hard to tell what the song is. It's very distracting. So that's part of nailing down intonation and pitch.